Today's product can be purchased at One Digitals. Go to onedigitals.co.uk or check them out on Facebook at One Digitals. Hi everyone, welcome back to HowTechs. Today we have a quick comparison video between two drones that we happen to have on hand. On the right I have the JME by Fema, and on the left we have the Spark by DJI. And these are quote-unquote selfie drones, so these are things that you can fit in the palm of your hand, and they're good for quick and easy flying around, taking selfies, taking some panoramas, flying within a short distance. Features wise they're very similar, and also execution wise very similar. DJI, of course, is very popular from their bigger models, and now Spark is kind of their flagship for the smaller size. One of the main issues with this guy though is the batteries are only about 10 minutes or so. If you're lucky, maybe you get 15. On the right here we have the JME, has a much bigger battery. This whole bottom thing is a battery, and this guy, at least advertised on the box, you can see there, gets 23 minutes. So if you are conservative, you maybe can even stretch that out a little bit more. We probably did at least 23 minutes in our test flight, where we were mostly just flying up and down without too much acrobatics. So we've tested both out. I'll play some clips of both of them. Here's the DJI. Sorry it was very hazy the day that we filmed, but I think you can get a pretty good idea of how clear things look. And here's a little bit with the JME. Overall, the picture quality is not too bad. What do you guys think? So from our limited experience with both, they're both pretty good. The software is pretty decent on both. Fundamentally, the architecture, the implementation is almost identical. Like even the way that they have the blinking lights on the bottom is done almost exactly the same. So if you're good at this guy, learning this one is super easy, and it's actually pretty much the same way going back. So from our experience flying both of them, they both work really well. I think you can probably tweak the software to get the same kind of performance out of them, but we found out of the box this guy was much more nimble and easier to control. So we were able just to pick it up and start doing kind of acrobatic flying at low level very easily. This one was a lot slower, so maybe it's just the sensitivity at default is a lot lower, but it felt, okay, I can fly up and down, I can turn around in circles, I can kind of shuttle to the left and right, but I didn't feel like I was really flying. I felt like I was just moving a camera platform through some software. So not quite the same. The other obvious feature that you can see is the propellers. This guy has these nice folding propellers, and there's two extra ones included in the box. This guy has these kind of annoying plastic ones that you have to screw on and off if you want to put anywhere. So the difference is, like, this guy, even in this case, you could just kind of drop it in a bag and it would be okay. Or these are quite easy to just snap on and off, as you can see. So they just pick up and on and off and snap back on. whereas these guys you've got to hold the motor and then rotate and then make sure you're rotating the right way. Okay, we got it off. So, and then you have to put these somewhere. So it does come with a bag to put them in, but you can imagine potential frustration if you hiked all the way up a mountain with this guy in your bag and you put your bag down and you accidentally broke one of these blades, and you totally wouldn't be able to do anything because, you know, it needs all the blades on all 4 of the rotors, otherwise you're screwed. And so something more robust would be better. I'm sure there's probably an optional protector on this, but at least out of the box it doesn't come with it. The other thing, which I would call kind of a design flaw or a real big drawback, is the fact that this guy has no landing leg. So this one, you can land it on anything. You can land on the street, you can land on concrete, or in the grass or rocks, and it has these nice rubber feet, a pair of which are actually built into the battery, just so that you have some coverage. This guy has nothing, like literally nothing. So not only that, but it's not even flat on the bottom. So it has this curve, which means if you're landing, even if you had a platform, some box, and this GPS is off and it lands 5 feet away or 3 feet away, it's going to land on the concrete right there, and it'll bobble back and forth. And we did that one time, and we already got some scratches on some asphalt. So it actually comes with some pads that you can put on there, but isn't that kind of lame if you have to put a big rubber pad on the bottom of your drone? So we regret that we didn't do it because we already got a couple small nicks in here. So keep that in mind. This nice big battery, long life, but kind of doesn't have a good landing system. So the solution is, after that first time, we never did that again. We always took it back to 1 meter off the ground and just grabbed it out of the air, which is not what you're supposed to do, but it solves trashing the bottom of your battery every time. So keep that in mind. The other bonus is this guy comes with a nice box that is kind of a carrying case. It's styrofoam, it's lightweight, but it protects everything, keeps extra batteries and extra rotor blades in pre-built spots. This one comes with a box that you could carry around with you, but it's kind of just a box. It's a nice box, but it's not a case. So you might want to have to invest in a separate case, and again, you have to take these rotors off every time you want to put it in and out of there. So anyway, long story short, I think we're going to stick with the DJI Spark. The 10-minute battery life versus the 20-minute battery life, it's not the end of the world, especially because you can just interchange these batteries really fast. So I'd rather have a lighter one with 2 extra spare batteries that's really light and nimble than a bigger one that I have to lug around, especially because it has no landing gear. So keep that in mind. So one other thing to keep in mind is charging. For the Fema Jamie, you got to use their power brick, and it's got this proprietary plug, and in order to get to the plug, you've got to actually take the battery off and separately charge it. And so if you're on the road, you've got to take this with you, and you got to remember it, and it's kind of big. For the Spark, as I mentioned, it charges through that USB. They have a USB charger, AC adapter, but it's pretty small. It's the same kind that you'd find on your phone, and it does do the fast charging, so I think it does 9 and 12 volts. So it can actually charge this battery faster than just using any normal USB AC adapter. But the nice thing is you can just have it all with the battery all locked in, and just put it on the desktop. Plug in your AC adapter to the USB and have it charging, and then when you get up in the morning, you're ready to go out and fly, you just put it in the case and take off. You don't have to unplug the battery, replug the battery. One other key issue is this guy can tell you the battery life just by touching it with it in. This guy, if you want to tell the battery life, you actually have to take the battery out and then put it back down, and then now touch it. So they both have these smart batteries with indicators. This one is not fully charged, but it's over half. But the problem is you can't tell until you've charged it separately and opened it up and checked. So if you've been flying for 10 minutes and you put it down, and then the next day you come back and you didn't remember exactly what the charge level was, you'd have to take it apart and check it. You can, of course, check it through the app, but then that means you have to turn it on and connect. So that's not really an option. Okay, so that's basically it for the comparison between the two. Overall, I think I'm going to stick with the DJI Spark. I don't mind the smaller batteries. They're quite easy to change. This guy is pretty good, and we definitely like it, but these propellers and the heavy weight and the fact that it doesn't have any landing gear, kind of a downer. So even at a lower price point, I think I'd rather spend the money on this guy. But they're both pretty good. If you have any questions, feedback, if you have a differing opinion, please let us know. Don't forget to subscribe, and please check out other how-to videos here on HowTechs. It's reusable, so it's not just, throw it away after you unbox it. And here we are, and we have some slots for accessories.